Uh-oh. But you've yet to witness. We need the voiceover. The Talon Pro. And then you should just have eagles. Wah! Like, there it is. Check out that thing. Good Lord. So
My video guy's getting better.
there you go.
Yeah, I like that he included snowflakes.
That's sick.
Why is it the Talon Pro?
Because it's got the... Oh, go ahead. It's live, ain't it? There
Yeah,
we're
It
live.
does say live.
It is. I'm asking.
What's that?
I said I'm asking. Why is it the Talon Pro? Is it just bigger?
There's a couple things. Let me type this. I tried to share this. No, the Talon Pro is so there's a couple things really. As you can see, the body of it's offset. It's got the motor off to the side. It's belt driven, mainly so you can amplify the steps per rotation you get at the end instead of being direct drive. So it's basically got a gear reduction to it to where it's basically 2 to 1. So like if your steps on your driver only push you to 4,000, with this you'll be able to run it at 8,000. Or in the reverse, you could flop the pulleys and run it half the steps in a situation.
Are pre-orders up? Can you order it now?
No, not yet. I wanted to get it out there.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. On the Laser Source podcast, the #1 podcast if you like hearing about things first. Jason's here again.
Hey, everybody.
Not to talk about travel engraving or a new Rotary, despite the trailer you just saw, but just to hang out and answer your questions. And that's what we're here for tonight, too. It's a Q&A, guys. Classic question and answer session. You got an hour. So if you have questions, start getting them into chat right now. Special shout out to our sponsor for tonight's question and answer session, Johnson Plastics Plus.
Woo!
The #1 online store if you want to be dumb like Matt and get a sublimation printer. Look at that face. You gotta love it. They have all kinds of stuff over there if you're a maker, and it's a really pretty site. It's a little bright. I would prefer a dark theme. JP Plus won't do that, but I would really like it if they did. And yeah, go look at it. There's a link in the description. You can get 15% off of your order right now with our discount code. What is it, Matt?
YLR-CDF, all capitals, but that could
There you
change.
go.
You should always look down below.
If that changes, yeah, it'll be in the description. Who made this episode tonight? Was it you, Matt? Did you get this set up?
Hmm?
Like the link is it? Did you check the box? Miranda's asking me if you checked.
Everything's checked.
Everything's checked. Matt says everything's checked.
All the boxes are checked. Check.
What's up, chat? How's it going? Among other things tonight, especially while we let some questions roll in, I'm sure Kyle's doing his star action there. I do just want to take a minute, get this out of the way early, and showcase some of the work that Vince has been doing on the website, because he has made new progress. If you guys didn't know, the buying guide has been messed up for a good long while, and so as I do when things are messed up, we just burned it all to the ground and started over.
True story.
It's a normal thing for us to do here. So I'm just going to show you what Vince has been working on. If you guys appreciate Vince's hard work, make sure you tell him. He's in chat right now.
Oh yeah.
Let me find the link here to his most recent. This is all prototypes, guys. I don't even think this is live right now. I mean, I guess it technically is live, but there's not much to see. So this is a very simple index page. Again, just a prototype, but we have a couple links here. Very simple, as is the entirety of the new website. if you've been there. So if we wanted to take a look at something like a CO2 gantry laser, we could click it. Well, that's a bad example. That image is broken because I haven't added it yet. Let's say the D1 Pro. There we go. So you get a little preview text, you get the price, who made it, and the product. And if you click it, here's the new buying guide page, guys. It includes the full review, in this case, a transcript of our video review that we did. You can watch the video review by clicking right here. We've got our affiliate links. If you want to help support the channel, you can shop via the affiliate links. If it's not something affiliate linkable, it'll be there, but most of it will be. Again, product title, the manufacturer, the price, with any notes, if there are any notes, and then you get a breakdown of the scoring. So if it is a product that's been scored, that'll appear here. Some stuff like Windex, right, where we're recommending you get it for your shop, is obviously not going to have a score, and if that's the case, this section simply won't appear. But you get your total score there, and then of course the actual review if you're a reader and you prefer to read. Some items are not going to have that. So if we check out like laser accessories, right, we've got, this is again a prototype, it's just a test, Brilliance laser inks, and if we click it here, you can see there's no score or score related items. There's just an overview and link somewhere to pick it up. Vinny, if you're watching, we have to get rid of these, dude. These don't make a lot of sense, so we got to get rid of those. But yeah, so super duper simple, guys. Very, very basic, easy to navigate. We're going for easy to navigate here. Some of the longer reviews, like we're going to include, and again, I've only done a little bit of this. Maybe it wasn't this one. Maybe it was also the D1 Pro. Let me check. Again, we're just testing things. You guys are seeing this super early. Yeah, so I've got like little screenshots in here from the actual video review. So we'll include like images as well. But I think it looks really nice. I think it reads super easy. It's super clean. There is a since the review section. So if it's an older review, you'll be able to see like any kind of updates or you know, more recent information that we're supplying. But I'm super happy with it. I really like it. So that'll be the new buying guide coming soon, TM. As far as the rest of the new website goes, the material safety database, I don't think we covered this last time. I know we did a big long thing about it, but you can check the material safety database has been ported over to our new database setup now. So don't engrave nasty things. You can find out more there. And we have a new calculator, the lines per centimeter to lines per inch calculator. If you're an X-Tool fan, you know LPC can be difficult to work with. If you know LPI off the top of your head, like I do, this little calculator makes it super easy to just convert back and forth without having to sit there and do the math every single time to get things close to where you want. So that's great too. Thanks, Vinny. And the file database has more stuff in it. All these other things are here. Did we have the source database last time? I don't even know if we did. I don't even know if it was here or not.
I think you had talked about it, but it wasn't populated yet.
Well, it certainly is now. There's quite a bit of information that's available here. It's sorted by manufacturer and then series. So like the MX series, that is Rakis's MOPA line of lasers. And just a ton of information about every source, guys. Anything you could possibly need to know about each source is listed here, and you can nav through the list. We are going to add sorting and filters to these as time goes on. If you're wondering what any of these columns mean, there are cool little tool tips in here that Vinny was able to put together for us as well. And soon they will, I think they'll be clickable, and it'll take you to the wiki, which is something that I've been working on as well. So the wiki here, we've got our little basic Make Army wiki, and I think I can do like Max Pulse Energy MJ. And so you'll click that little question mark, and it'll take you to a page like this that explains more about what that means. So a lot of gears turning, and Vinny's just been really busy. So I just want to make sure I give him 5 minutes here at the beginning of the show to showcase his hard work, because he is volunteering his time, and we are super grateful. So Yeah, I think that's about it for updates today. We started a couple new projects today too, but you'll hear more about that probably next week. I'll harass you with more on that. So that's all I've got on that topic.
Yeah, I will attest. I'm here every day from like 7 to or like 7:45. I don't know, sometime in the morning. And Alex is like immediately like a kid on Christmas. He's like, "Let me show you the cool stuff that Vinny did."
Yeah,
And like it's like I'm not kidding. I was sipping my coffee this morning trying to wake up, and he's like, "And he did this, and then we did that." And
dude,
then,
he's putting in like it's ridiculous. He's volunteered so much time to make these tools for people,
Yeah.
and it's incredible. He's doing really really great work. So if you haven't been, go check out lasereverything.net and play with all the cool toys Vinny's making you, because there's a lot of good stuff over there right now.
well, and before we get going too deep, Richie from Gulf Coast Laser Engraving was talking about how he's having surgery soon. So we hope that goes well for you, man.
Shit, Richie, hope that
Yeah,
goes
he's having
well.
Another one.
spinal fusion that he was talking about in chat.
Hope
So
it
we
goes
hope
well. Quick recovery.
Yeah, I was just saying, my dad had one of those when I was a kid, and because of it, his life was great. So I mean, that's the kind of stuff that can be life changing for you. So hopefully it goes well, and best wishes, man.
Yep.
I'm dreading that myself. I'm borderline needing that.
Make sure you give yourself the time to recover because you need it.
Yep.
And
whatever the doctor tells you, listen.
make sure you give yourself time to recover, because people like us don't.
Yep. Fact.
Yep.
Ask Jimmy.
Yeah, my thing would just be that couple be okay not getting done today. I mean, it's the truth. That's exactly what I would do. I'd be like, their dad needs the birthday cup. I'll drag myself out there. It'll be okay. Yep. Anyways, the good news is we got a lot of questions. We got a lot of people.
Good.
Yeah. So I think we did shout out to people who are here, right?
I don't think we did, but
we didn't say hello, but hello.
No, I see Richie's there. Resin coming back for more. Laura, hello. John is here. John Uftring. Mike C, new regular. What's up, Mike? Good to see you. Joe Monroe, what's going on? Corey, Lori. Wow, I'm like rapping over here. Bronson is here, chilling, doing his thing. Michael Dias hanging out with us again tonight. Jack in the shop. It's the good old, it's the podcast crew, dude.
We got a couple of new people in there. I see Keith Bordley and Peter Aziz.
Mm-hmm.
Got a bunch of people.
Maxie, that's a new name. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. What's up, man?
Maxie is Ben over at Maxie.
Ben?
Yeah,
I don't know Ben. Who's Ben?
That's the thing I'm looking at.
Oh, the big thing.
Yes.
Oh, what's
the
up?
thing I'm very excited about.
Maxie, the big thing
that everyone on the channel will be seeing soon enough.
Ben, your thing is too big. Oh, Rob's here for movie widgets. Right. No, Kyle really likes it. I'm just kidding. Keith Bordley, Peter Aziz. I'm just making sure I got everybody. I've named so many now at this point that I feel like if I miss one, I'm gonna hurt feelings. Engraved Dreams. Yeah, good standard crew, guys. Good to see all of you.
The good news is we got good questions. Yeah.
Kyle, you're the star master, man.
I guess let's fire up.
Oh,
Mark
says,
same. Best diode laser on the market.
Well, that is too vague.
the one you own.
Are you engraving? Are you cutting? Are you doing both?
Do you want Galvo? Do you want gantry? Is it staying where you're putting it, or are you trying to get something that's more?
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at like a Galvo, you're kind of limited to a couple different brands and a couple different models.
We did just so many. Good one, right? The We Create was pretty cool. Like I was
the We Create
impressed with that.
Yeah.
Really
diodes are like purpose driven machines. You know, like if you get one, you're getting it to do like a really specific thing. So what you plan on doing with it is really going to inform what we think is best. For sure.
If you're going to be doing a lot of cutting, for example, you're going to want one with the ability to connect a air assist to it. A lot of the ones that are designed with cutting in mind, or at least the ability to cut, come with one of those little pancake air pumps that you'd see like attached to an aquarium, but they're designed a little more compact and push a little more air.
I feel like I would say the one that's impressed me the most that we've had on the channel for bang for its buck would be the We Create one, though, just because it was enclosed. You could actually attach exhaust to it if you wanted to. It cut amazing. Like, I think you did like one-shot cuts without even playing with it really. And then the other thing was the pictures that you did with it came out really well. You had to tinker with it a little bit, I think, like on your second try.
Yeah, a little bit, but that's everything.
Solid photos with it. And then I think you also did like steel. I mean, I know they all can kind of do that, but I think you had it without a lot of fuss. It was just going right out of the box.
I'm also going to just shout out X-Tool really quick. Again, for a cutting laser or like a large format, or if you wanted to do photos, pretty much anything that isn't mobile, I really, really right now would super recommend the, where is it? Here we go. The X-Tool D1 Pro. They came out with a 2.0. It's just a minor revisions thing. The reason that I'm bringing this up is because I just published the, like since the review update that I just talked about, because this was one of the test reviews that we ported over, and it is just like so stupid cheap right now. So this is the 20-watt version, is $849, which is already really cheap for what it is. But if we scroll down and look at some of these other options down here, the 10-watt one, which is the one I reviewed, which is an extremely capable laser, is $500 and comes with an enclosure, which is pretty nuts. For a little bit more, you can get the RA2 Pro if you really want to do rotary. It comes with the air assist pump. It comes with a cut bed. And this 60% off, I think this is just the new price for this unit, because they're all about the like F1 Ultra right now. And, you know, all the consumer level laser manufacturers are really focused on Galvo tech. So the gantry stuff is taking a dump on price, and that could be a really, really good opportunity for you to kind of, you know, take advantage of where interest is moving elsewhere. $700 for everything in this picture is ridiculous. It's a really, really strong price for a machine that's been on the market for a long time and had the kinks worked out of it. I also saw, let's see, if we come into the D series here, refurbished X-Tool D1 Pro. This is the non-revision version, which is very, very similar. Again, is starting at $299, which is just, again, kind of just like a stupid amount of money.
Yeah, if you wanted to learn, that's a great like foothold right there.
And you could spend another $30 and get the 10-watt with the enclosure refurbished. I mean, there's nothing wrong with I'm a big proponent of refurbished products. Honestly, I don't know how you guys feel about them. I get refurbished stuff off Amazon all the time, and it always works fine for me.
Well, especially from the manufacturer, like if it's guaranteed, even if it's been refurbished and you get that, you know, warranty with it, then it is what it is, you know? Like,
yeah.
What are you going to do?
I mean, even like high-end electronics that we have at the shop, like my Canon R6 cameras that we use for filming videos and stuff, both of those were refurbished. You know, they were like $1,000 off. Of course, I'm going to get the refurbished version. So $329 for a D1 Pro that scored fairly well when it was $1,400. It got a 7.6, I think, on the original review, and when it released, as we reviewed it, it was like $1,400, and now it's $329. That could be a really good opportunity for you if you're looking to get started. So,
by the way, that's the one that Resin was saying in chat that she used to get going, was the 20-watt D1, and she paid way more for it, and she doesn't use it anymore because she got the P2. But like, you know, just saying. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that'll get you hooked.
Yeah, so I'm definitely all about that right now. The price is just like really, really good.
Well, that's also keep in mind, that's the price of what the P7 M40 from Atom Stack started out at, and that's like a 200 by 200 like cantilever style workbench.
Yeah.
So that's a lot for your money.
That here. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get an enclosure and all the accessories. The longer B1 30 watt, which is actually a 36 watt optical output, is on sale right now for $900, but it doesn't come with any of that. You get a honeycomb, otherwise it's an open laser.
Yeah.
So you don't get any of the safety benefits or any of the convenience for exhausting. None of that.
Right.
All right, real quick, I'm going to throw this in there just because Michael knows what he's talking about for sure. So Michael said the Raleigh Lasermatic Mark II or MK2. He said the 30 watt Lasermatic is a beast, and he said that this was the thing that made me like put this up here. He said he just was testing today to cut through 3 layers of 5.25 millimeter Leon wood. Like that's hefty. 5 millimeter. So, anyways, a lot of good stuff out there, man. I've never even used that one.
Yeah, it's a pretty machine. It looks pretty. I'm actually looking at it right now. I'll pull it up so you guys can take a look at it. But it's nice looking.
Yeah. When it comes to Galvo, I mean, you're pretty fond of the F1, right?
Yeah, I like the F1. It's been outclassed at this point by the F1 Ultra, but they're also in very different price ranges. So I think the F1's still a viable option. It's one of the reviews that I'm working on right now actively, because obviously it's getting more out of date by the day. But that said, the price on those two are very, very different. If we look at X Tools,
I'm sure after the launch date, like I say launch date, but after the date that people start actually getting their production ultras shipped to them, I'm sure you're going to start seeing trade-ins go into the refurb pool from X-Tool for the original F1 probably.
So it looks,
and prices will drop.
It looks like if we scroll down, the most inexpensive version of this, which is just the standalone F1 unit, is at $1,449 right now, and the F1 Ultra starts at $3,999. So they're very, very different prices. And I don't think that just because the F1 Ultra is out, that means that the F1 is meaningless. I certainly still think it has its place in the market, despite beginning to, start to be like, oh, is that like the newest thing or not? I don't really think it matters, because the prices are so vastly different. So, and that's something I'll talk about in my review.
Bronson said his is going to be there on the 20th.
Sick.
Yeah. So he's pretty excited for that.
Yep. Yeah, cool.
Yep. So we got another question from Richie Rich. Says, have you had any issues with the CO2 Galvo lens dot sizes fitting on the focus lenses? I have an 8x expander, 20 millimeter RC 2808, which is a common Sino Galvo head for 20 millimeter, and 2 millimeter CO2 source. And I'm finding most CO2 focus lenses are limited to 14 millimeter input. So what you're having problems with there is the beam expander is essentially a multiplier on your source's output. So if you have a 2 millimeter beam size coming out and you multiply it by 8, you functionally have a 16 millimeter beam going into the head and coming out into the back of the lens. I actually have wavelength OE up on my screen.
I just want to show this off really quick, and then I'll let you take over with that.
Okay.
If you come into the File Explorer on the Laser Everything website and you come to Reference Materials, there is 2 reference sheets here labeled JGSL1 and JGSL2. And if you take a look at these reference sheets, it will actually show you, here, let me open this in a new tab. It'll actually show you the maximum input beam for each of the lenses. And as you can see, the vast majority of these are going to be not appropriate for a 20 millimeter scan head. So this is something to look at and consult for sure, because it can certainly make choosing lenses and knowing where you're going to have issues a little easier to identify.
Yeah. And I was actually So this is wavelengthoe.com. So they make a bunch of lenses. You go to products, F theta scan lenses, and you can filter by wavelength. You can actually see right here input beam diameter, and you can organize it. So you're just getting into the bigger ones. There's actually some massive ones. You get up to 25 and 30 millimeter input diameter, which you can go bigger, you just can't go smaller. But this is essentially the same thing Alex was showing you, just from a different manufacturer. And you want standard F theta, and
it's one thing knowing what lenses you need, and it's another thing finding them on the market too. It can be difficult to hunt a lot of these lenses down. A company that I can recommend that I've actually spent just like an absurd amount of money with getting lenses for testing on CO2 Galvos is Hunst. If you've seen Hunst around on AliExpress, they must be buying directly from Wavelength.
They're a major supplier.
They have lenses that I can't find anywhere else, and if they don't have one listed, they've been able to get it for me. I've gotten pretty rare compound CO2 Galvo lenses, like multi-element CO2 Galvo lenses from them. We've probably spent like $6,000 with them. They've never sent me anything for free. I literally bought all of it from them, and it can be really hard to find. So I would recommend checking with Hunst if you're looking.
And that was his follow-up. He just asked real quick. Doesn't matter if your beam size is larger.
So we talk about this, and we have talked about this in a couple of videos, but the main benefit to expanding your beam larger and then getting a bigger head is basically the larger your input beam size is that the lens can handle specifically, since that's kind of an addendum onto that point. The smaller the dot is at focus. So you can essentially, you're getting more for your money and more mileage out of it by going the beam expander head and lens route. If you're not going to be spending $1,500 or more on one lens. And once you get to that point where you just want a smaller dot and you've already gone the expander route, then your option is spending $1,500 or $2,000 on a dual element lens with the right combination of input aperture and all that.
The problem with the beam being larger than the head input diameter is that you are still blasting the same beam regardless of whether or not it fits into the head or onto the mirrors. So your laser is just going to be bouncing around either at the back of the input aperture on the scan head, inside, like, where your emitter is sitting, which is not good, or inside the scan head where all those motors and mirrors and sensitive electronics are. The laser has to go somewhere. Just because it's not fitting onto the mirrors doesn't mean it isn't being blasted, right? So I think it would be best practice, absolutely, to make sure that those numbers match. Not to just have random laser scatter kind of missing your mirrors and hitting God knows what else inside of your machine. So
think of it like an efficiency standpoint. Think of the laser beam as heat. You want the heat to get to your material. The more things it's getting caught on before it exits the lens, the less efficient it is, and the more potential damage you can cause.
Yeah, I'm really concerned about
you always want extra overflow room. You always want the beam to be smaller than the next smallest thing in the system. And that being your input aperture pretty much always, and your head, the mirrors inside your head. I've seen them actually crack the backside lens on the inside of the lens housing from just absorbing way too much heat. So
yeah, and there's also been people who have posted in multiple groups that I'm in on Facebook where they've done that. They're like, I keep trying to figure out, this is my second or third lens that's done this, that's happened. And I think it's exactly what he just said. So, and nobody, because that's when you start asking the right questions, and I mean, when I say they crack, I mean, they literally look like, if you've ever seen like glassware in an oven cooked and crack, They're like broken lenses.
It does the same thing essentially that like a focusing lens on a gantry would do if it's dirty and catches too much of the laser energy.
Yeah.
It's catching the energy. It's basically absorbing all that heat, and then it's cracking. It shatters essentially in pieces. So yeah, I would. You're gonna want the right lens for the job.
And he just said
CO2 Galvo is just it's pickier about what you get. You can't just throw any lens in there.
He said best return all the lenses I just bought and find replacements.
Yeah, consult those guides. They list the input aperture of the lens. So even if it's making it into the scan head and it's taking up all of the space on the mirror perfectly without overflowing, and it's hitting the f theta lens, if your beam can't fit inside the input aperture of the lens, then it's just hitting the lens housing and bouncing around inside of your laser anyway. So it all the parts have to match up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
all right, that's a good answer.
Next, Cuban. What's up, Bronson? Matt, are you going to try and get the X2F1 Ultra to try and do those road engravings? I know you want to do a series on that.
I would love to get an X2 F1 Ultra. That's all I got. Like that. I mean,
on the plus side, you do basically have a laser that is already functionally the same size, has the same or bigger lens options, and is the same weight.
Yeah,
it just doesn't have enclosure.
I was gonna say, even though there's a very low chance of me getting that and or having it where I'd be taking it with me on the road, I think it'd be a great option because it's super low power. Like it's the same thing as the 20-watt com marker that we've got. Also, as far as like its consumption, the other thing is the fact that it just gives you a whole new array of materials to work with. So you went from inorganics to now you can also have organics because you've got the diode. So now you basically have a pretty good gamut of everything except for maybe glass and probably clear acrylics would be my thought on it. But yeah, it would definitely be a great tool to take with you. I know Cubing Cracked, aka Bronson. If you guys don't know, he's really excited for his to come because at his university they have like markets. Just like when I was in college, they had the bull market, and that's basically what he's going to be, I think, taking his to. Was that he and I were talking about how to take that investment and turn it into like actual money the other day. So that'd be great, man. Super cool. I'm excited to see what you do. Especially if you've got a Greek organization around there, and you have people who need a couple of things, just saying.
I got a question for Jason since we're on the X-Tool topic.
Sure.
Is there any roadmap or thoughts on compatibility with your rotaries?
Yep. Yeah, all of our rotaries are compatible with NEMA 23 or 17 motors. So it would basically just boil down to
the connector, I guess.
What the connector would be, and then the size of the motor needed for that machine. So if it's like basically the Newton meters as far as the braking torque and everything on it. So I have a pretty standard one because I've done them on the U-tone or U something. I've done it on the open bed. I want to say, I think it's X-Tool. They have the open frame. They have the older open frame ones. Yeah, I've done those. I've done ones that are similar to that. I forget the name of it. But yeah, it's all compatible. We just need to know what kind of motor it needs, and the plug basically is it.
Bronson chimed in right as I was asking that. What has Ascendi got from LBX work? So based off of that, I would guess it might need a motor change, right?
Yeah, it would need a motor change. Because if you notice, if any of you guys have the rotaries, you'll notice on the mount plate, you'll see the 4 holes that the NEMA 23 is mounted in, and then inside of that, you'll see the smaller set of holes. That's for the NEMA 17. So it's got dual mounting capabilities for whatever machine you're running. But again, it would just come down to the type of motor that you need. We got some that we use as kind of a standard, but depending on the driver, it may require more or less amperage. Most of them are less than 2 amps. So the ones that we use for the NEMA 17s would cover that.
Nice.
All right. By the way, on the old Talon that just came out like a few months ago, what's the motor that you got on here?
That's a NEMA 23 2-phase for
Okay.
your standard Galvo and most every Chinese laser except for Thunder.
Yeah, and then that's what I was gonna say. Like, just got to play with this thing, dude. I unboxed it the other day with Kyle to take a look at it and play with it, and we made a cup in about 34 seconds, I think it was. It was like a 4-inch engrave on the CO2 Galvo, and knocked it out in like, I think it was like 33 seconds, something like that. I was just like blowing smoke off it. I'm like, okay, all right, it's done.
Now, do you just a question, because I might do it different, but how do you guys do your rotary setup for Galvo? Do you guys use minimal split and no overlap?
So actually, I was just talking about that with Alex this morning. So what I had going on, because I literally just pulled it out of the box, and I had a lady who needed a cup the next day, and my CO2 gantry is on the fritz. So I was like, let's see how this goes. And Kyle and I basically played with this one. This was my mess around cup to see what happened with it, and it pretty much, like, number one dad is what the lady wanted on a cup, is like my throwaways, you know. And we had it set to 12,800, and then we had it for, what was it, 0.08 was my split, and then I think it was like
0.08 was your line interval,
and then I can't remember. It was something that was I think it was 4. So it basically like took it and kind of went up, but that's what made it so fast. But I think Kyle and I were talking, so Alex and I were talking about today. I had some issues with a little bit of like line going on with a 0.1 overlap. I had some like heat lines, I guess is what I call them, like striations. Yep. And Alex today literally said, I said, I'm pretty excited that I got this to play with. I said, but I want to tinker with it. And he goes, I'm going to give you the answer. No one likes to hear it. Smaller split size.
Yeah. Like for me, I do probably anywhere from 0.02 to 0.04 on my line interval. And then my split size is 0.06 above that. So it would be 0.026 for my split size with no overlap. So it basically operates just like a gantry.
Yeah.
So every line it's engraving, boom, 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 and it's rotating every time, and you get absolutely no split lines or split marks from overlaps or.
That's always been the right answer. People just don't like it because you lose a lot of the speed gained by using a Galvo laser in the first place. But that's the price you pay. If you want it to look nice, it's going to take longer. So that's just people hate hearing that.
I mean, you can adjust it by. You can bump up your line interval. Like I said, I usually run about 0.02, 0.03. I could bump it up to 0.04, 0.05, and then do my split at 0.046 or 0.036.
Well, what I tell people is it has to be equal to your line distance or some low multiple, is what I said to Matt. Some low multiple. If you multiply your line distance by 50, obviously this is not going to apply anymore. But, some low multiple will work fine. You'll gain a little bit of that speed back.
When I told him my answer to the questions, he was like, "Tell me split size and stuff." I told him, he was like, "Ridiculous."
Yeah, I mean, because you can balance it out and do a split line, like a 5mm split or 5mm split or something like that, and speed it up. But there's so much dialing in you have to do, and then there's so many variables that are involved in that. So it's not a guarantee that you're going to get it hit every single time. No, because density of the coating, or
cups
whatever.
Just aren't perfect cylinders, man. There's manufacturing variances. They're just not perfect cylinders, and everybody thinks that the math should work out perfectly every single time because they picture a cup, a nice solid metal cup, as a perfect cylinder, and it's just not.
Nope.
It's just not.
Another thing that me and Matt were messing with too was kind of combining the concept of project mark with the split sizes. So you can do, if you're doing text, specifically. If you're not doing a bunch of things that made up to each other, text being one of those convenient things, you can also do split by character, essentially. And that's kind of like cheating. It doesn't really fix the problem of
Oh yeah, we totally.
But
Just
the
to show
benefit,
you guys.
that's how you can get some of your speed back, because
that only works for text, and that doesn't work when you have an image on the same plane as the text, because then it's going to split that image in the same way unless you do the image in a second pass, in which case you're still running that same number of steps. So it's just nonsense.
It's a band-aid.
I mean, I personally don't use a Galvo for cups unless it's something that I don't need the rotary for, like it's a straight line text down the cup, or if it's small enough to get the beam width to hit everything and not go out of focus.
I use Galvo for cups if I can project mark it, if I can do like a cylinder correction. If I can't, if it requires more of a wrap than that, it goes on the Rotoboss in one of the gantry lasers, and that's that.
Yep.
Yeah, I won't even show people what Kyle and I did. We totally just like gimmicked it and made it, but that's for like done in 36 seconds. And I was like,
he wanted quick results. He got quick results.
I was like, Kyle, I said, I know there's a way to cheese this, dude. Let's cheese it. He was we're about to get cheddar.
This is off topic.
I was just curious because that seems to be a point of contention with people as far as how to do it. But
I think there's a right and wrong answer, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I think there's a gray scale there of how much do you want to band-aid it.
Well, I mean, like I said, you could dial it in and get a decent sized split mark, but is it worth the time? Because you're going to spend more time trying to dial that in.
Deal with it,
than it is just to let it run like it would on a gantry. I mean, essentially, obviously it's different, but the way it processes line by line and it rotates line by line. Mm-hmm. I mean,
it's all or nothing. You can do a split size that is the entire width of the cup. It's called cylinder correction and light burn, or you can use a rotary. Like those are your options. And if you use a rotary, it's up to you to use it the correct way.
Yeah, I did this with cylinder correction.
If you try,
I've never had good luck with cylinder correction for some reason.
Oh,
of course,
dude,
I'm probably
so nice.
The key is focus, man. Because if you're a millimeter out, it'll start to do like a smile on you and all kinds of weird stuff.
That's the problem I've had. Is every time I try to do it around a cup, it ends up being like a smiley face or a frowny face.
Yeah,
I just can't get it.
The biggest thing to do is what I found is, like I said, you got to hit the focal point to where you go down, to where the top of the cylinder is. Yep. And then you basically go down. So you got number one, it depends on the lens you're using. If you're using like on the CO2, the 200 would be the most I would use, because you lose you've got good focal distance, but you lose your like the fineness of your dot. You know what I mean? And so like a 150 would honestly probably be like the best for something like this. But then that also takes away your depth of field. So now you've got a smaller space to engrave. But I think this one's about 68 or 69 millimeters, and the most I've ever done would be like 72.
So you're focusing. Are you focusing in on it?
A lot of people like to focus halfway between the top point of the cup and the edge of where it's going to mark. But really, it's not halfway. It's like 2/3 to 3/4 of the way down. So you're going substantially further down than the halfway point of that arc, if that makes sense. Because
it's curving as it goes, basically. So you have to kind of like meet the curve, and it just like
it's not a linear diagonal. It's like an exponential arc. So instead of going, if you start at the top point of the tumbler and you go halfway down, that is not the point you want to focus to. You want to go 2/3 to 3/4 of the way down.
It's kind of like doing those, like a Stanley Cup, where you're trying to do a full wrap on a Stanley. You offset it and then split the difference in your focus between the high point and low point.
Yeah, I've always done about 2/3.
Yeah, but you don't split the difference. That's wrong. That's what I'm telling you. It's more like 2/3 to 3/4 because of geometry that I don't understand. But that's the answer. So that would help big time.
And then, so literally on whatever, like the note that I've got for myself in the settings is 2/3 of like, so if I'm using a 200 millimeter lens and my focal depth is like 8 millimeters, then I'm going down almost like 5 and some change. Something like that.
The funny thing too with CO2 Galvos is you don't need a 300 lens like you would on a fiber to get the focal distance to do a wrap, not a wrap, but like a good project mark and get decent coverage. You can do it with like a 210 or whatever. I did a couple of cups for Father's Day on a 210 lens, and it was like 25 seconds aside, 30 seconds aside, and I was done.
I mean, that's what makes them ideal. So you don't really need any particular lens unless you sit there and you're cooking the shit out of the metal and heating it up hot enough to like grill steaks on it. Then it should be fine with just about any lens because the CO2 isn't marking the metal.
Yeah. And Alex, when we were doing the stuff from Johnson Plastics Plus, I gave him the settings, and he was like, "Oh, that didn't." The first time he did it, he's like, "Damn, that's fast." He's like, "That's really good." And then he's like, "Yeah, but it didn't take off the stuff." And I was like, "Clean it." And he was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, we did those with the 140. They were fine. Yeah. They were fine. Big wraps, big projections.
They were. I think if I remember, I told you don't go over 72, and you put it at like 70.8 or something weird. But I mean, it's a big, almost 3-inch engrave.
Yeah.
And you heard it here first. Alex is gonna grill a steak using a piece of metal.
Yep, that'll be a laser everything forced. Brought to you by Kyle.
Joe says, how does frequency relate to the finish of an engraved product?
That's a good question. We haven't heard that in a while.
It's like sandpaper is the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
The higher the number, the finer the grit, so to speak. The lower the number, the coarser the grit. So if you're trying to dig into it, you use a lower frequency. If you're trying to polish it, then you have a higher frequency.
Even though you can't polish with a laser. Don't let anybody tell you can, because you can't.
No, but you know what I mean, though.
I do know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. I want to make sure everybody else knows.
I'm a woodworker, so that's it relates to me. And if you think about it that way, it's pretty much the same thing, just with a laser instead of sandpaper.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And basically, by the way, if you hear us saying stuff about cleanup passes, that's usually what changes is frequency or power, but a lot of times it's just frequency, because hitting it with the same power and the same speed and then just kind of wiping it away is kind of getting that, or hitting it from that with a different rotation too, like an angle rotation. Those two things combined will really clean up your piece.
We did
some stuff with UV today on wood, and it was a wood we were unfamiliar with. We didn't know what it was, so we hit it and it came out way too dark. So basically I upped the frequency and the speed a little bit, not too much, and basically kind of did a clean pass on it to lighten up the engraving a little bit, so it wasn't so dark. And that works the same on a fiber, a UV, a CO2, all that stuff.
Yeah,
true story. And by the way, I know in the RF tube behind me, like frequency does matter. It's a very, very small frequency window that you've got. But when I do these little guys, and this is where, like, if you ever get a training from us, like we talk about it. So this is where all I did was change the frequency. So same power, same settings and everything. And it was just changing the frequency, and one literally cleans up. When you hit this is almost like an enamel coating, and it blasts off the first layer. And then when I had a different frequency, it made it like the same color as the edges, which is kind of what you're shooting for anyways. So it does make a difference.
Well, it's really, really good for if you're trying to, like, we do guns and stuff. And when you're trying to hog out material really quick, it's good to do that. And then it's kind of like sandpaper. You hit it with 60 grit, then you hit it with 220 and then 600 or whatever. So I do several passes, one to hog it out, and then a couple finishing passes or cleanup passes afterwards to smooth out the finish, instead of hitting it over and over and over again, which heats it up, which causes slag and all that stuff around the edges. And I also found out too is doing like a line, do the outline first, do a couple passes of the outline and then hog away the material, and that helps prevent that too.
Alex, you were saying something. We covered this.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to
Here
cut
and
you off.
gone. Everything you need to know about Galvo lasers.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Every single one of you in chat right now should have watched that video because I recognize all of your names. If I've seen you this often and you haven't watched that episode yet, then I don't know what you're doing. So go to the YouTube channel, Laser Everything, and just click any of the crash course links. All 4 of them have it as its first video. Everything you need to know about Galvo lasers, watch that video. We go into it in depth. We talk about why frequency is like sandpaper. So we actually explain like what's happening, and we talk about how the different settings affect one another. So it's a really good episode. If you haven't watched it, it's really the only video you should be watching before anything else on our channel is that. So go watch that one.
Galvos are fun.
When are you guys planning to add more to your podcast library on Spotify? He's finished all of them.
Yeah,
but it's a great listen while on the way to work.
Very soon this week, I'm gonna do. I was gonna like pad it out and just like upload an episode a week until we catch up, or like 2 episodes a week until we catch up. But it's so far behind at this point, and the live streams are the only thing that's up to date anymore, and it's really, really bothering me as much as it's bothering you. I promise. It is a serious irritation to me. So I will probably have those up this week. We won't be all the way up to date because I haven't edited them all, but everything except for like maybe the last 4 episodes, which is still like 10 uploads. So there will be a substantial audio podcast drop within the next 7 days. You guys will see that. I just need to dump them. Literally, I just need to dump them. So it should be relative.
The fact that we're hosting those too now, right? So that's
that was a big part of it. We talked about it last week a little bit. The long and short of it is that we were paying a bunch of companies to host stuff for us when we already paid for our own server, and it didn't make sense to keep spending our LMA money on all of that when we could just spend it on our own server and host them ourselves. So you go to podcast.lasereverything.net now to see our self-hosted website for the podcast. It's really nice. I guess I'll just share that really quick too, since we're sitting here talking about it.
I just typed that into the chat for you guys in case you wanted to copy and paste it.
Everything.net. Let's see. Window. Here it is. Share. Boom. So we have the full spectrum shadow, that like mini series we did on full spectrum laser is a separate show, and then at some point the LBX thing, LBX 2023 will be another one that we'll have over here as well. But the one you're looking for is just the Laser Source podcast. It's right here, and if you click episodes, we've got all the episodes right there, as well as all of the services you can find the show on. These have all been updated, so if you listen on Apple Podcasts or you listen on Spotify, those are all on the new RSS feed now. But you can also listen on the website if you want. This site in particular, podcast.lasereverything.net, is really mobile friendly and responsive, and you can even leave comments if you really want to. So they're here. Everything's been ported over. It's all hosted on our own server right now. This is our installation of a piece of software called Castapod that puts us kind of back in control of our own data, and I'm really excited we were able to get that up and running. I just need to get it up to date now. So that was a big thing. Thank you for bringing it up, Matt, because I totally forgot. So
yeah, no, it's worth doing because that's the thing. Like,
yeah,
every morning I get on, like either Alex disappears, like for 2 or 3 days, and I don't hear anything from him, and then when I'm like, dude, are you dead? He'll be like, I did stuff, and then he's like, let me show you, and we spend like 2 hours literally just like looking at all the shit that he and Vinny have done. So they're like going into the secret clubhouse and doing all the Vinny stuff.
See this old ass shirt that I've got on today?
Yeah, it goes with your old ass face.
Hey, got him.
Got him.
Oh, that's right. We don't even have the merch. I took the merch shop down. I nuked the merch shop. Miranda hates it. She wants to make her own shirts. So we're going to do like something else for that. But that's neither here nor there. I have nothing prepared for it, and we'll talk about it later. Not today.
And on that note, Mike C says, any benchtop CO2 gantries that you would recommend looking at that would slot in between a Ranger 3 and a Mirror 7 or 9S?
In between?
Yeah, I mean,
The
there's
Mirror
not much
5.
in between because it's the same size. So the Ranger is
no,
600 by
not
380.
true. That's not accurate. The 7 and not what?
The
same
Mirror 5
size.
is the same size as the Ranger.
Yeah, Mirror 5 is pretty small. You got the 7's, what, 20 or...
The Mirror 7 is 700 by 450.
Yeah.
The Ranger 3 is
Fucking cheater over here did research.
600 by
in advance on the
380.
question.
You know he did, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
What else? What other size could there be? That
You got
seems
the-
like those
they
are
got
like
the-
side by side.
The bolt.
You got the Thunderbolt. You got the Bolt 22, which is like 14 or 15 by 22. The Bolt's like 12 by 20.
Yeah, that would put it at like 300 by less than 600. It's like
Yeah,
500.
but those are all RF tube lasers as well. They're not CO2, so it's more for your engraving and fine details and stuff like that.
See, the very first laser that I had was the Boss 1420, but it's really not benchtop. It's a thick boy. So
Yeah, I mean the only mainstream ones would be the Miras or the Bolt series, or well the Bolt or the Nova 24 for Thunder, the Miras for Eon. Boss really don't have a desktop, so to speak.
Theirs is too chunky to be.
But I don't even think any of those that were just listed would slot in between a Ranger 3 and a Mirror 7.
No, they try
Like
to size wise.
It's a real spine slot they're talking about too. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Mike says more about power, speed, and price. The prices on all four of the machines we mentioned are up, down, up, down, up, down.
Yeah, like
Power wise, the Mirror 5 is going to be lower than the Ranger because that caps out at 40 watts, I think.
yeah.
The Ranger's got a
Ranger
75
can go
watt
up to-
tube.
Yeah,
And-
well, he's increased the range on those. You can get a 50, a 65, a 75, or a 90.
That
Well,
has
if you're
to have an
looking- if
extension
you're
cap
looking
on
at
it.
gla-
There's no
If
way
you're looking
that
at glass tube versus CO2 though too, you got to think of that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have a 30 watt RF that's about equivalent to a 50 or 60 watt glass tube, or a 40 watt or whatever. So I mean, there is differences there too.
And the other thing is, are you looking for the Z depth too? Like, what are you trying to make with the thing? Because honestly, that 1420 that I had way back when had like the deepest Z depth, I think, at all the machines that I've.
Well, I think I would make the assumption that if they're asking for a benchtop laser, they don't really care about the.
Well, but because
Yeah.
cups, like the Thunderbolt, can make cups pretty good, right?
Yeah, Thunderbolt with, well, at least with our rotary, it can do up to a 32 ounce dog bowl, which is about 8 to 10 inches diameter.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Damn.
Yeah, so that's what I'm
It's
saying.
already,
Like,
it's already got a 4-inch Z depth, and then if you take the bed out and suspend the rotary, you get another 4 to 5 inches out of it.
oh shit!
Did you
like,
see what
so-
I had to do to get the Rotoboss Junior into the Mirror 9 because it was ridiculous?
No, you should have come to you that way. The magnets on one side come off, and then the magnets on the other side sit in the lower part of the tray.
Dude, I had to pull the knife, all the knives.
Oh,
out
yeah,
of the
yeah.
bed. Yeah, and then it had to go all the way down. It just barely fit, dude. I had like
Yeah.
millimeters of
Like,
clearance.
Alex comes on camera like this, like he literally is like, "I've got an idea. I'll be right back." Like, walks off and he's like, got
Yeah, I
the
mean
thing like this.
the mirror. I mean the mirror is. I mean, I don't think there's any provisions for bigger stuff really. It's
No,
just
they're so
it's meant to
shallow.
it's meant to be an engraver. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not really meant to do much else. I mean, it
I
does.
made it work. It worked. I made it work.
Oh yeah, I mean, I had a Mirror 7 that I used to use my Junior in all the time.
An Ascend would have been easier.
Yeah, but the Ascend won't work because of that stupid hump in the middle, that vent trough.
really?
or-
Just too big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's because the Ascend's, when it's sitting on the ground, the actual part that slides is only about 2 millimeters off the ground.
Hmm.
So having that there, you have to tilt it. It's going to be tilted, which would make that hit.
Could I put like a spacer underneath the side that's lower to just get it
You
pop
could.
it up? Like cut some little steel chips out or something and just
Yeah.
stick them under the feet?
Yeah, I mean, you can make it work. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not ideal,
No.
but you can make it work.
But nothing about that setup is going to be ideal. So
no, I mean it's with that having that tray in there or that vent tube or whatever the heck
I
it
know
is.
it's so weird. It's such a weird little thing.
That's the biggest hurdle, but I mean it's not really that big of a deal.
I think that wouldn't the Ascend just fit in the Mira just on the honeycomb bed? I feel like you wouldn't even have to take.
Well, it's a height thing. It sits about the same height as a Junior.
Oh, does it? But no towers. You don't have
the
to
Talon
deal with
Pro.
No, yeah, no towers.
Put the Talon on it, or the Talon Pro.
Yeah, the Talon will fit on it.
Okay, because I know it sits up like we're looking at it too. Like it kind of sits up, but it's not. I think the loft on it might be within like a quarter of an inch, probably half an inch.
Well, another thing for the Pro, like if you look at it, you have the motors offset from the head, and it's at the same level as the head. So let's see. So it's offset from the head itself. So it's sitting actually lower than this. Plus,
okay.
The issue with the motor over here is not really an issue per se, but with the Miras and the Thunderbolts and things like that, is you have to focus so close to the head or so to the object that the motor is kind of in the way. With the not so much with the head, but with the gantry, because the gantry's like right there.
Got it.
So with an offset, you don't have to worry about that. So again, that's another kind of feature to it. But yeah. So
by the way, I feel like it's undersold the Talon. Like I could never see what it was that was on the actual like faceplate right there, and it's literally got like the claws coming through. Like I like it.
Yeah.
It's good.
All right, we're gonna do lightning round here, Kyle. We're at an hour.
Rich says, "Do you plan to add a column to the laser settings for MOPA? Otherwise, it looks great."
How do you mean?
I'm assuming he means colors and not specifically MOPA.
So the laser settings for MOPA,
like probably the library or something like that.
Nothing about the current implementation of it limits you from inputting MOPA specific settings.
Yeah, I don't think so. Anyway, like if we come into the laser settings database and we go to fiber laser settings, let's view those. If we wanted to submit a setting, you could put the parameter type as fill. Let's just pick some random nonsense really quick here to get this done. Blah, 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 blah. All right, continue. So here's the form. Your fill one settings include your pulse width. So you should be able to put, that's it, right? What else would we need to cover? I'm curious.
What's really cool too is there's a fill two settings. Like if you had a second player that you had to hit it with, like you gave it,
which we couldn't do on the settings database version 1. There was no way to put a second fill in. You had to put a second setting in. So it's really nice if you have a sub layer or something. We have that too. And for anything that isn't in this form already, we do have a notes field. But if you think something's missing, send us an email at contact@lasereverything.net and let us know, and we'll consider adding it for sure.
Show them how to click continue to go to the next, because that confused me for only 30 seconds.
So if you're doing like a raster setting, so like if your setting is for an image setting in Lightburn, you can just skip the fill set. You do not need to fill out the fill settings. You don't need to fill out the line settings. None of that is required. And then you can just come in and fill out your raster settings.
Yeah.
So you do not have to do all of these. It is certainly not required. So all that's required is the red star. So once your required fields on the first page are in, all of this is just up to your discretion. So if there's no fill one settings, just skip it. No fill two settings, skip it. Then if you have line settings,
you broke yourself, Alex.
Yeah, you killed your mic.
My bad. So once your line settings are in, you can hit continue, and then raster settings. Obviously, this is a cut setting, so we're not going to put raster settings in. Continue. Notes. Continue.
By the way, wait, don't continue. No, I was going to say this is.
It's not letting me anyway because you have to include the results.
I was going to say this is the most important part, because people might like. I had to transfer all of these over on 2 of them like I think it was CO2 gantry and then one of the ones UV or something. Take the time to actually put a picture in there. And if there's notes, for example, like defocus 3 millimeters up, right? That kind of stuff matters. And then take a picture of the results so that people, because I literally, someone put like acrylic and then they were like material, glass. And like, so I'm sitting here going, what the hell are they talking about? And anyone else who looks at that would too. So take your time, put a picture of what it is that you're supposed to actually have there and help people out. Show off what you figured out, man. And if you can actually, the screenshot of the settings is so easy. It's the Windows key, the Shift key, and the S, and you can literally just drag and drop a picture into there.
Yeah, the screenshot of the settings really helps us because if anything about what you filled out in any of these settings categories is unclear, we can reference that to make sure that the data you put in is correct too. So that's really helpful for us because we do curate these. Not every setting makes it in. Most 99% of them do, but sometimes they don't, and this would resolve that. So if you add a screenshot of your settings, it's not required, but it's certainly helpful for us when we're doing it. And then you can hit continue. Let me add a photo to this. We'll just do Brilliance Laser Inks. So then you get this review page. You can check all of your machine stats, make sure they're good. And then, like I said, this is a cut setting. So fill 1 is just completely blank. Fill 2 is completely blank. Our line settings are filled out. This iframe is not tall enough. So I need to fix that. And then the raster settings are all blank too. So that's how you use this form. And I will fix this iframe so you can actually complete the form. I don't know why that's like that. So that's that.
Yep. So
yeah, that's a really cool settings library to add to. Anything you want to add?
We won't. I think Vince and I are changing the content management system that the databases are going to live inside of, and it won't require the iframe. It'll just be baked into the page. So any weird iframe nonsense, if you guys have checked out that page, that you've noticed will not be an issue in the nearest future as well. All right. Any more lightning round?
Yes. Peter says, what are your thoughts on the X2F1 Ultra?
Compact, powerful, expensive.
It looks cool, but we've never touched it.
How much are those things?
XCS is weird. The $4,000. We were just comparing it to the F1.
Yeah, between $4,000 and $5,000.
Yeah, the F1 is $1,400 and change, and the Ultra is $4,000 base.
And that's granted, that's a 2-watt fiber, 10-watt blue versus a 20-watt and a 20-watt.
Yep,
with double the bed size.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
And the Ultra has the moving bed too, right?
Yeah, for like an extra chunk of money.
Yeah, that's not included in the $4,000.
$4,000 is just base. It's literally just the F1 Ultra.
Wow.
Keep them coming, Kyle.
Have you looked at the Lasermatic yet?
Yeah, we just looked at it, right? That was the Raleigh.
We looked at it, but we never touched it.
We just looked at it. We literally just physically looked at it. But we don't have one. I'll write them an email. That looks cool. I like that.
It looks cool.
Yeah, it looks neat.
Thank you. I'm new into lasers. I do like your guys' content. Learned a lot from what you guys do. I truly appreciate what you guys are doing.
Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Peter.
Man. Hope to see you around Discord. We've got the Make Army network is up now. It's network.makearmy.io. Make sure you check that out, and the Facebook group.
Engraved Dream says, can a diode engrave or cut everything a CO2 can?
No.
Acrylic being one of them.
Diodes are visible light lasers, which means they use light in the visible spectrum of light to cut and mark things. And if visible light passes through it, then it cannot be marked or cut well with a diode, because if you can see through it, that means visible light is passing through it. And the diode is a visible light laser, so the light that the diode is producing is passing through the material. It requires workarounds, and a lot of the time the workarounds don't work or work poorly. That is the short lightning round answer. Next. Boom.
How much of it has... Jason.
He already said reach out.
Okay. So yeah, reach out to Jason. I'll have to talk to you about it.
We can figure it out.
By the way, if you call him, he always picks up.
Matt, when's the next video with ink, printer, and press?
I'll take that question.
Yeah. Oh, wait, you got it.
I'm the one who has to edit it. It's done, isn't it?
Yeah. So the second video is done. Alex and I were actually talking about adding some things to the second video. So instead of making a third video where you have to wait on it, it might be like I don't know. We'll have to see. But either way, it's filmed. I just need to, after talking with Alex, I think it was either this morning or yesterday morning, I'm going to add a little bit of a like pros and cons, because there are a few things I would suggest people consider. Doesn't mean it's really bad so much as it is.
Dude, I've been thinking about it. I think like it might actually justify a third episode.
Okay, yeah, that's the thing. So like just things to consider, like having looked at, because they did send me, there's so on jpplus.com there are 3 different setups you can buy, and it's basically just the printers and ink. Then there's like a whole bevy of things come with it, like socks and like pickleball things and all kinds of stuff. And then there's the one that I got, which is the one that came with a heat press and the paper and the thermal tape and the printer and press. So basically, the one major difference is if you buy it through JP Plus, you did get $100, and that's one of the things that remind people of. You get a setup and lifetime like help. So if you ever are like, I don't understand what the hell's happening with this thing, you can call them and they'll walk you through whatever to fix your product.
Matt.
Yeah, it's
lightning round.
But that's it. That's the thing. All right, I'll save it for the video. Sorry.
Okay, great. Boom. Lightning round answer.
Okay.
What is the estimated dot size on the Galvo CO2 with 20mm head, 8x beam expander, and a 300 lens?
I have this answer. I'll look it up.
Changes based off of your beam input size before the expander and after the lens.
I can give you a general answer on that.
I know the answer.
A lightning round
Depends on
answer.
the laser size too.
Where's my machine catalog? What are the 20mm head, 8x expander, and a 300mm lens? Did we do that one? Is that the one?
What wattage too? Because that would matter too, right?
Wattage is irrelevant. Wattage is only relevant because it can change the beam size. So if we know the beam size, everything else is gonna go.
Wattage is relevant in that you need to make sure that you are accounting for like burnout on your lines. So you need to be using appropriate settings for your wattage laser when testing this. Let me see. Focal distance, CNSE, focal distance 290. I can give you the so the 300 is the single one I didn't do.
Mind you, this is with a 6x beam expander, not an 8x.
My biggest spot.
I did just find I have a 300.
On my 210, so it looks like 0.3 is on my 210, so bigger than that. And that was really, really carefully tested. So 0.3 or larger. Lightning round answer. Boom. Not 0.03, 0.3.
Yeah.
Just to be clear. It's
like
a third
4
of a
times
millimeter.
bigger than a fiber size.
Yeah. Is that it? We caught up?
For me, I've noticed mine's much smaller than that.
Well, you have a different beam expander than I do.
I have an 8x beam expander, but the same size beam.
All right, so then maybe Kyle's
I was
answer.
going the wrong direction.
Significantly smaller than that. It's as small as my gantry's 100-watt tube or smaller, which is, what is that, 0.85, 0.9?
0.085 or 0.09.
Oh, wait, 0.1. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, moving on. That's it. Lightning round's over.
Great.
I think that's everything. Yeah. Good questions tonight, though, man.
Sam's question. I don't have anything. Maybe
Oh.
fucking Jason has an answer to this. A computer-controlled electronic clamping or gripping system suitable for holding small items like keychains. You know anything like that, Jason? It would literally it would like grab a thing from you and hold it there. I don't know about computer control. That's where you lose me.
No, but we have something in the work for the air part. But as far as like computer controlled clamping, I mean that would be
very specific. I feel like I'd have to do some
specific and very costly.
I feel like a jig, like Kyle makes really cool jigs. I feel like those are great if you don't have air as long as you've got like you could use this guy right there and put that
Like, I mean,
acrylic on there and just have it rotate.
I mean, even like for the chuck part of it, I mean, with ours, a set of the feet that you get has a ring adapter. You take the rubber piece off, and it's a ring adapter underneath it.
Yeah.
So it can hold rings. It can do stuff like that. You can put it up in the 90 and use a turntable like what Matt has there.
I suspect he's referring specifically to like something that will load and unload it automatically.
Matt,
Oh.
I think this one's at you, dude.
I'll let her
Yes.
know, and I'll give you the feedback on that next week.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it for the Laser Source podcast. We're 15 minutes over. We got value out of the lightning round. If you did, don't forget to smash the like button. Let everybody else know the content is good. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified the next time we go live. Jason unveiled the Talon Pro today. Very sexy. Follow him over at, what is it, dude? It's rotaryattachments.com, yeah?
RotaryAttachments.com is our website. Rotoboss Rotary Attachments on YouTube. We got
Is that video up over there so that they can rewatch it over and over again if they want to?
I'm gonna post on it tomorrow. I wanted to get it released on here first, like I told you I would.
Noise.
Sexy first look.
You guys literally saw it first.
Yeah.
First thing first.
Yeah.
So now you've seen two firsts on here. You got the Ascend Pro and the Talon Pro.
Yeah.
So.
Jason's got a bunch of shit you can go watch, including stuff about his
Pretty funny
giant trailer project, which is super cool. We talked all about that last week. And, of course, updates on all of the new rotaries, like the Ascend magic that he's crafting over there. So a lot of cool stuff coming from Rotoboss Rotary Attachments. Make sure you go check it out. And also, if you get bored after you're done with that, go check out our sponsor, Johnson Plastics Plus, for all of your blanks and flat stock engraving material needs. And now even sublimation things, thanks to Matt. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, definitely hit them up with the affiliate link down in the description. Help support the channel. You can save 15% off your order, almost anything in the store with code
YLR-ZDF, all caps, but it could change later, so check below for the link.
There you go. Jason, thanks for spending some more time with us today. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Make sure you use a fucking small split size, and we'll see you in the next one. Good night, everybody.
Later.
Bye.